Morning. It's technically correct.
I think we're good to go. Yeah. Cool. Best behaviour then, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Alright. So
Best
yeah, he's going to
behaviour.
press the button.
Best behaviour is
Go
pretty
live,
bad.
And then after about 10 seconds,
Yeah.
go on to me.
Cool.
I'll introduce what we're talking about.
Fine, and we will talk.
And we'll start talking.
Okay.
Excellent.
3, 2.
Good morning. Well, not morning, it's lunchtime. We're going live to LinkedIn today. So today I am with Kyle and Mike, and we are going to do what I call small business karaoke. So, what are your tracks today, guys? No, what we are actually going to talk about today is, would you pay £500 to destroy your competition? So Kyle and Mike run an IT company, and we're going to discuss the sort of moral question of, would you do that? So would you pay a hacker 500 quid to destroy your competition? Kyle.
Well, firstly, thanks for having us, York. We
you.
appreciate the opportunity, and hello to everybody out there watching us. You might not know that I'm actually naked below this table.
We can actually see, but on the wide shot we can see your legs. So.
No. There's just this section. This section.
So just up to your knee. You've got fake trousers up to your knees, yeah.
Exactly.
Like a lot of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say anything, but maybe. You know.
Thanks. I think around the subject of hiring a hacker for £500, you've effectively it's a from price. We're not publicising the fact that you should do these things, but we're more or less just sort of saying that these things do happen. You've got two types of hackers. You've got ethical hackers who effectively strengthen your business, and then you've also got sort of non-ethical hackers who would look to sabotage your business. So it really does depend on your competitors, your industry. There are some people who don't quite operate by the true rules of business, with exercising integrity, etc. So they would look to do that sort of thing. Would I do it? No. Because
Good answer.
but we do have a security team of ethical hackers who try and effectively stop these things.
I thought you were going to do a full politician answer there and not actually answer it. So, and I'll ask you the same question. Would you do it?
No, obviously it's morally wrong, and it's not a good thing to do, basically. So I wouldn't advise to do it. But there are some unscrupulous people out there who may take that opportunity to sort of disrupt someone's business if they're a disgruntled employee or a major competitor. Obviously 500 quid isn't a lot of money, so people might see it as a way to get an edge on the competition or something else.
I mean, that's what really jumped me about the kind of concept in itself, that actually that 500 quid, I think I know people, like, just for the record, I wouldn't do it. I think I'm too nice sometimes. I don't even click on my competition's AdWords ads. So, because I feel bad about it, right? We were researching competition the other day, and I was like, no, don't click on their AdWords ads, because that's harsh.
It's going to cost them 25p.
So, I think I know people that would, I think there's some people, and it might not be, like, completely out of malice, but it might be, like, desperation. Like, imagine you lose a big contract to a company, and you're like, and you feel like you've not been... That process wasn't fair
or something.
And I could see people getting into the situation where they just like, and then suddenly this option's presented to them, and they're like, this could be, maybe don't destroy them completely, but just disrupt their business model, just so I can kind
just
of
enough to kind
of mess things up. Or,
I mean, it's an interesting thing, what you said there, because there are disgruntled employees, touching on what Mike said, where they might not have had the best experience, working for that particular employee or employer rather. And what they tend to do is, there are some instances in the ID industry where, these disgruntled employees will do things like crypto locker attacks to try and cause inconvenience to the company that they used to work for, because of particular reasons. So, from our perspective, it's everywhere, but it's just understanding and protecting yourself in the right way.
I think interesting. One of the points we were discussing before this was about passwords and passphrases and different things like this, and that actually, if you don't change your passwords when people leave, or you have a system where someone leaves and they take the password with them, like, that's a point of vulnerability to the company. And and it's interesting, like, basically the title of this video is clickbait, right? Like, we're not this is not something we ever advocate.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're basically saying that this is actually probably pretty much possible within the realm of things.
Yes.
and that. But there's some simple ways just for free that you can just do to protect yourself. Because absolutely. I think, when we first had this conversation, I suddenly thought, crikey, are we up to spec? And I went and talked to my team and said, Yeah,
well, are we preventing this from happening?
No,
I mean, it's a great point, York. I mean, from our perspective, simple measures like, making sure that you've got a backup. If anything does go wrong in your organisation, having a way out is key. Keeping all of your devices up to date is a good one, because if all of your devices are up to date and your apps are up to date, it means that there are less security vulnerabilities that these sorts of people can use.
They're protected for the sort of most recent, because obviously it's always evolving, all the viruses and attacks and types of threats are evolving. So keeping up to date with the software protects you against the newest sort of threat, although they're sort of obviously changing it.
I guess the problem is for most people, small business owners are busy and it's boring, right? Like, it's a simple thing. It's God, who wants to update this thing? Or like you get in the morning and the thing goes, and it goes, oh, you need to do an update. And you're like, well, I'm ready to work now. I don't want to stop and carry on.
Exactly.
And I suppose, how do we get past the fact that this is, when it gets bad, this is risky, like high risk stuff.
Absolutely.
Like you can really disrupt your business, the business model here. But actually, it's really boring. Like, is there? I know there's things like auto updates and stuff like that, or is it just about being a little bit disciplined and like having, saying, okay, well, once a month we check it.
But basically have a schedule or have something set up that makes sure you sort of follow a certain protocol. There are often tiny little steps, but it's like you say, just making sure they're done at regular intervals and that you're sort of protecting yourself on a regular basis, because it's not just a one and done sort of thing. It's because they're always evolving. There's protection against it always needs to evolve. So it's literally that. It's doing it on a schedule, making sure you're up to date with things. And if you've got backups, if for some reason you stray from your schedule, because as you say everybody's busy, at least you've got a point which you can restore it from, and then update that, and you're sort of
and it's all backed up.
You just have to be a little bit savvy with it. Just to touch on what Mike was saying, I mean, it really is about how much time you have as a business owner, right? Business owners, looking to build their businesses and grow them. Security is probably the last thing on their list. They've got rent
probably often no for physical security, right? Like when you're not going to cheap out on the locks for the front door of the building, but actually then you cheap out on, I don't know, something simple like a WordPress plugin for, I don't know, WordPress is like a content management system for websites, and just having like a stop lock on that so people can't repeatedly try and hack in over and over and over again.
I'm glad you said about the front door, because the front door is an interesting concept, right? So I always used to say to people, imagine you invested in this front door. It's the best front door in the world, right? You had the greatest lock and all that sort of stuff. But you left all your windows open.
That's exactly
This is security. So I think, people don't understand that, what it can do if you can't, because you could build up this business for years and then suddenly you can get a cyber attack which could impact your business by about £4,000. And then suddenly your progress is undone. It can bring your business to a halt. It can ruin your reputation. So from our perspective, it's just about educating everybody out there to make sure that they're making the right decisions.
And I suppose, not being a kind of doomsayer and saying that, IT, lots of conversations around IT are always like, security, negative, like protect. But actually, like, if you think about the benefits of what IT can bring to your business, and it's simpler than it's ever been. In some ways it's more complicated, right? But mostly it's simpler. I think back to when I first started working in video production. I used to the first computer.
When it was black and white.
When I was at college, I had to do it on tapes, right? We had tape decks, and we had to do it like that. And then we moved to computers. My first computer had a 500 megabyte hard drive. And now like you'd have.
And when you first moved to that computer, what was your perception of the computer? Did you think it was better than the old thing that you used to use, or did you think, okay, well, we're not quite here yet?
I think it wasn't quite there. Even up to now, like the technology is getting better and better. So, for example, 5 years ago, we were on Macs across the company because Macs were just better, stabler, more easy to use. Whereas actually now Windows has improved so much that Windows, but now the price difference, which is like 30, 40, 50% in some cases.
It makes sense.
It makes much more sense to go Windows. And they're much safer, they're much less likely to get hacked because of the stuff's stronger and things like that. So It's interesting how that's evolved over time,
Yeah.
and that actually IT now there's such a huge opportunity in this space to make massive changes to your business by organising things using IT that you can save so much time.
I'm glad you said it, because it's simple stuff.
Yeah, touching on what you said before, like I think a lot of people, it won't be high on their priority list to worry about security unless they felt the pain of how bad it can go if it goes wrong. So it's difficult sometimes if you have conversations with people, it sounds like you're sort of scaremongering or trying to convince them that you must do all of these things because it's an incredibly scary space to be in, which it is, but there are simple things you can do, and it's hard to get the point across sometimes because people often take it as you're trying to just sell them something, but a lot of the time they won't understand the implications of what can go wrong. They might know someone that's had it, or they've had it themselves in a previous life, or worked for someone that's had it. If none of those things have happened and they're just plodding along doing what they're doing, they don't...
The perception of the risk is different.
Yeah, the perception of the risk.
So,
absolutely.
so as we chatted about before, you guys have put together 5 super exciting free tips for people to improve their IT. That it's going to be like, if you're ready to have your mind blown by these super exciting 5 tips, like let's talk through some simple tips, right? And this is stuff that I can do as a business. So I'm a bit technical, right? Like I do I've had some experience with IT. So we want to make sure that this is I've got a person in mind who might be watching, and his name is Michael Dodd. He really struggles with IT, like just from that concept perspective. So we need to make sure that he can understand this. So I'm going to play Michael Dodd in this situation and see. Sorry, I didn't tell Michael about this in advance, and
Michael,
I'm not going to try and do an Australian accent. You can talk to Michael on this one.
Sorry, Michael, wrong place.
G'day, mate. Tell me about.
Don't worry, I've also got accents.
Wait a minute, are you Michael Dodd?
Yeah, Michael Dodd. Yeah.
But he looks exactly like York.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Are you guys twins?
We are.
Okay, it makes perfect sense now. I'm ready to go.
He's got a bigger beard than I have. Okay, let's go. Let's hear some tips.
All right, 5 tips for you. Right, always keep your devices up to date.
Okay. How do I do that?
So if you're using Windows devices, ensure that all of your Windows devices are up to date by running Windows Update.
Okay. Does it do that for you automatically?
We're moving into a position now where it does it automatically. For some people, it's a little bit of a problem because obviously you don't really want to be downloading and updating 21 updates during a really important time, such as payroll, but these things are really, really important. So just keeping your devices up to date and running all of your applications, making sure that they're up to date as well is important. Yeah.
Is there a simple place, and then maybe we can post this in the comments afterwards or something if we can find it, like a simple video which says, in 2 minutes, this is how you do the updates or set them automatically on your Windows machine. They're really.
We do have we have on our LinkedIn page on Destination Cloud. We're often doing tips and tips and tricks and bits.
We'll do that then. We'll find a video and we'll get that together.
And that should help you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Michael.
So I can watch for 2 minutes and say this is how I do this physically where I move to.
Exactly. Just touching on what Mike said, it's really, really simple. Like all of the videos are less than sort of 3-4 minutes. So they're bite-sized chunks.
Cool. Perfect. Okay. So tip 1, keep everything up to date.
Yes. Tip 2, always keep a safe and secure backup of your data. Carl will tell you some.
Ensuring your data is backed up is key, because if you don't quite have the protection, which you all should have, especially you, Michael, then it's really important to ensure that you've got a way out when something happens. So we would always suggest a cloud backup, because cloud backups are they're typically there's less when it comes to manipulation, so it's a bit more effective. So say for example you got a crypto attack, which if you guys go to our LinkedIn page.
So hang on. What's a crypto attack?
A crypto attack is it's a type of attack where a hacker or an uneducated user might introduce somebody to the system, and then from there a cyber criminal will then encrypt all of the content.
So when you say introduce someone to the system, like would that be like an email with a link in it which downloads a piece of software or plug in a USB stick?
Exactly. So you get uneducated users where they might click a link, or you might get somebody who's sort of spear phishing to try and get some credentials to get in.
So that spear phishing would be like attacking you're like, so going to something which would be your computer and doing like thousands and thousands of versions of a password to try and get in, is that right?
That's brute force.
Brute
So
force, okay.
spear phishing is where somebody's specifically targeting you via an email campaign. That's not legitimate.
Yeah.
And then when you click that link, they can then potentially gain access to
and
your
these,
system.
These are quite clever now, aren't they? Because you can get
very,
ones that look super genuine. So me and my wife got one of these the other day from Google. And it was and once we realised it was like check,
and
it wasn't something didn't sit quite right with it. The shape of the box and the thing.
Always look at the address it's come from.
Addresses,
as well,
but it's
really
even then they can still now hide
the
address to make it look like it's come from
spoofing, basically,
the addresses.
But the idea is if you've got a strong backup, when the intruders get into your system and they encrypt all of the content, you've got a way that you can effectively recover.
Yeah, just pick up from the point.
It might be lumpy because effectively, you might have a backup that might be dated a week old because it's unmanaged, which we didn't recommend. But at least you have a way out. But what some people do nowadays is they actually encrypt the backup as well, so that you don't have a way out. So if you've got sort of like a local USB disk attached to the existing storage device, then they would encrypt that, which means that you're not going to have anything to recover from. That's why we always suggest you back up to the cloud.
Yeah. So we did talk about when we were playing badminton the other day. A thrash both of you. Did I?
I think you did, to be fair.
Nice.
I'm terrible. I'm terrible at badminton.
We played with Nick West, didn't we?
Yeah, we played with Nick. Yeah.
You told me a story. You happy to share that story? I didn't ask you this in advance about someone that
got which one yours?
The thing is, I've been in IT for a very long time, so around 10 years, and I've experienced all sorts. We had a situation years ago which I helped deal with where a cyber criminal infiltrated a client system. They encrypted all of the contents and they brought the system to a halt, and the actual business couldn't do anything.
They can't access their emails, they can't turn on their computers, they can't log onto their files.
Yeah, they don't
online.
know who their suppliers are, they don't know who their clients are.
Phones probably aren't working.
That's right.
VoIP,
so, and they were under the impression that they could potentially, recover from this because
they didn't adopt a solution business processes that was put towards them.
But in the end, they had to effectively pay. Well, they thought they had to pay a fee to effectively get that data back. But as you know, cyber criminals are liars. So
are they?
They are.
No way! Really?
Untrustworthy people.
Damn them!
Hence the criminal part, guys. Hence the criminal part. So protect yourself at all times. I think backing up is just having a way out is a good thing.
You said a number when we were talking.
A number about what?
A number about how much that guy paid.
Yeah. Oh, in the region of £20,000.
Yeah. And it didn't fix it, right?
No, we didn't.
They just asked for another 20k.
It didn't fix it.
Yeah, and again, I used to use this, and that's what caught my attention when we were having that conversation. That's why I thought this would be an interesting topic to cover. But I think broadly, that 99% of this can be like a positive spin on it. It's just this simple bit of protection. So the backup. So either you have like a hard drive that you buy off Amazon, right, and just plug it into your computer. Everything gets backed up to that every day, and there are simple bits of software that can do that for you.
That's on that side of the spectrum, and obviously it's free.
There's a way of doing it.
There are cloud solutions that you can use.
You can get cloud solutions that cost very little, like
Dropbox
or Google Drive.
OneDrive, for example, comes built in. You can put some stuff on OneDrive, and that stuff will be safeguarded. But it's about ensuring that you're safeguarding your operation. So for us, if you've got, say, 6 employees and you need your business up and running in the event that something goes wrong, you're going to need a decent backup. So
stop profiling my company.
You need to know that if everyone stops working, you can get them back working and operative as soon as possible because it's costing you money.
Because when we discussed it, I'm not sure if something like that happened to us.
What you would
a couple of days, it'd be quite hard. It'd be quite hard for us, to get up and running. We use cloud-based systems to work on our documents and stuff. So everyone can work remotely, which I think is really useful. So
Absolutely.
if I've got to check a piece of information, I can just look on my phone. I can check it.
But it's all about business continuity.
Updates.
So
backups,
backups.
So and these are both literally free things that you can do.
Literally free things, and they're 3 simple things that we would urge everybody to do. Obviously, if you don't have an IT department, or you might not necessarily be able to afford one because you're growing your business, you're building it from scratch, then I would certainly say look at those 3 things, and also just look at our page for tips, and that'll keep you alive until you're ready to get the right people in place.
Because I do think, genuinely that a lot of stuff in this area, to get the basics right, in anything, there's so much information available out there that if you've got the time to do that, then fine. Like you can do it. So for example, anything to do with marketing, right? You can find out, you can learn about it quite quickly because there's just information available out there. It's whether you've got the time to implement it, which I think comes into it. So okay, 2 tips. Tip 3.
Tip 3 is a good one. Strong passwords, biometric authentication. So we were talking earlier about.
What's biometric authentication?
Ready, guys. So we always say about, it's always something you know and something you have. So in the world that we live in, two-factor authentication is playing quite a big part.
Technically, that's another tip.
Don't worry.
Okay. It's all right. We can blend the two.
But
strong passwords.
I'll tell you why. Because I'll tell you why. Hear me out, guys. So. A strong password and the use of biometric. Now, the reason I say two-factor authentication is because you would usually use biometric authentication and another way of authentication.
So biometric is fingerprints, face,
infrared scanners,
blood.
Blood. No.
Eye scanners, retina scanners.
Retina scanners, but the most common is just a simple fingerprint scanner, and the fingerprint scanners themselves, they usually come as standard with most of the laptops out there. They've got these things called TPM chips, Trusted Platform Module chips, which give you that additional layer of security to use those devices. And also you can just get them as additional peripherals.
Yeah,
it costs a lot of money.
But
having that will protect you, because in the event that somebody did get your password, the likelihood of what's the likelihood of them having your fingerprint?
You'd probably notice if they had your finger.
Be a bit of that's a different question there, right? We're talking like mafia films.
Yeah, that's right. And if they did have your fingerprint, the likelihood is they've spent a lot of money to acquire it.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Are you worth spending that amount of money for the return?
I am, but
of course, exactly. Michael Dodd or York?
Both of us. So strong pass. So I saw a thing about passphrases.
Yeah.
So passwords. What's your password?
I'm not going to tell you. If I told you, I'd have to kill you.
Oh, okay. You could just change it. You could tell me and change it.
No.
I mean, we've got
time.
Don't
do that. Don't tell anybody your passwords.
Never tell people your passwords.
So passphrase, I thought, was an interesting concept where you
thought so as well.
Combine sort of some words together, and you might say. Kyle has nice hair.
Thanks.
Right? Yeah.
Does it have to be a lie or?
No. Well, probably.
No, that's completely factual. I do have nice hair, and you may have noticed it's very short now.
Did you cut it off? He cut off his nice hair.
So, and that combines a phrase, and then you could say, for example, change the K for a 3 or something like that. So you've got quite a strong phrase. And then maybe combine, and you can have these phrases are quite strong and they're easy for people to remember.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea because the one thing I would say is if you're going to do something like that, stay away obviously from your name because when they use brute force attacks, obviously they've got dictionary attacks where they just use random stuff to kind of guess your password, but. If they're trying to target you, the first thing they're trying to do is use things like your date of birth, your name and stuff. But
admin, office, info, password,
exactly.
1, 2, 3, 4.
If you exercise a little bit,
if
it's really cool and really fun, and it's memorable and it meets all of those complexities, then for us it's a green tick.
So I like we're talking about. So say if you do have sort of 6 to 10 people. And actually having one system to manage all of the passwords. So we could constantly get into a situation here where like someone's like, what's the password for this thing? And I'm like, I don't remember. Like, what is it? Reset it. And then actually if we had a centrally managed system, which we're close to having, but it's just again it comes down to the time, right? Just to say, because there's probably like 25 different websites that we use and have accounts for stock footage and music and different things like this.
There's a lot.
So there's quite a lot of different things, and actually having this kind of one system where a user's given access to all of the bank of passwords of the things that they might need access to. They never actually know what the passwords are. They just have that key, like that master entry point, somehow, which you could do with fingerprints, right? And just saying, actually, if a fingerprint scanner is 25, 30 quid, I don't know, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the region of it, you can
I mean, you can use, obviously, 2FA, you can do like codes on the phone. There's like the tags you can have when you go to like the gym and you tag on a door. You can have like a little thing which you put the tag on. It's just there's various ways of doing two-factor authentication, but the fact is there's two ways of authenticating that user. So it's obviously a lot harder to break that.
They got things like multi-factor authentication. The term that you described earlier when you were saying having a bunch of employees and then them not knowing their password, but being able to apply it. So when they leave the organisation,
they're not taking that
information with them, and it makes it easier.
I think not even from a paranoid perspective; it's just from a practical.
No, it's
let's not faff
security,
around changing people's passwords.
Well, the technical term
and also that,
the technical term is identity management. That's the technical term.
That's interesting. So moving on to tip 4, which is two-factor authentication.
Basically, it's turn on 2FA. So we've sort of covered it a bit in what we spoke about, but it's basically having 2 types of authentication, which again can become in these fingerprint, code to your phone, tag.
Yeah. So as you said, something that you have and something that you know.
Yes.
Which is,
so it'll be a password and so your finger. Yeah. So you normally have your finger with you.
Do you?
Normally, if I
we get into well, actually,
he screws his on. They're not real fingers, guys. They're not real.
We normally get into the situation where, say for example, my dad, who's the FD, will be submitting the VAT return to HMRC, and the HMRC thing is connected to my phone. So I'll get a text message from, I'll get a code, and I'll get a text message from my dad saying, can you send me the code to the thing, when I'm messaging over to him, which I guess is not ideal.
That's multi-factor authentication.
Okay, well,
he's got to get the code from you. They've got to know you, Okay,
that's good, Okay, well, that works. Means he can't hack into it.
You just got to remember, what would the world be like if you didn't have that?
Well, it wasn't long ago that wasn't a thing,
what was
right?
Now everyone's gone.
What's happening back then, Mike?
Oh, I don't know. But obviously everyone, as you say, everyone's using more IT, everyone's putting more stuff digitally out there. So now that it's become a more valuable thing to use within your business, obviously it's a more valuable thing for people to attack.
Yeah,
that's right.
So then equally the levels of security are put up. So the more valuable your whatever is, you tend to protect it more. Like if you've got a nice watch, you put it in a safe. If it's not a nice watch, you probably don't want to.
Well, probably before IT, you would put your customer information files in a locked filing cabinet, right?
Yeah. And backups and stuff. People do that.
Backups are off-site and stuff like. Whereas now, like people can put them into just an open folder, right? And sometimes, and accidentally kind of get past that stuff.
But the thing, literally, what you're both speaking about is absolutely right. Mike's speaking about, your gold watch in a safe. What happens when you leave the safe door open? Who has the passcode to the safe? Do you? Is it just one guy? Is it 2? It's all about protecting yourself intelligently, and sometimes just exercising a bit of common sense.
Cool. So tip 5.
Tip 5 is get a decent antivirus application. There is an inbuilt application called Windows Defender. And you can run basic scans, and it offers malware protection. It's very basic, which is probably enough to get you by. But just being a bit attentive, making sure that your scans are happening, and making sure that there is a green tick in the bottom right hand side. And again, we've got more tips and tricks on our LinkedIn page around that. So.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Well, I think so. Interestingly, I would put the question out there to our viewers. Would you pay £500 to kind of destroy your competition, hack them, disrupt their business model, stop them getting that proposal finished that you're competing on? Like, I think for people,
Stop giving people
I'm
ideas.
pitching it now, for only $4,995 plus VAT.
York can do it.
So I think, is anything else you guys would like to cover? Any sort of extra interesting information you've got?
Anything from you, Mike?
No, that's good. That's all good. Right. So one last question for you guys.
Yep.
You ready? You ready for this? This is a big question.
I think so.
Yeah.
Is it from Michael Dodd or is it from York?
It's from York. Yeah, Michael Dodd's gone.
Okay. He's left.
Michael.
Bye, Michael.
Yeah, he's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Wow. And
he's back.
And York said, get a can of Foster's.
So big question.
Yeah.
Fist bump, high five, or handshake?
Oh,
fist
bump all day.
That's it. Nice one. Thanks, lads.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Right. Good to talk to you.
Lovely. Thanks, York.